In the fast-paced world of trading, Wizzer is built to scale seamlessly. We have engineered our platform using distributed architecture so that we can add more capacity when the volume surges and we can scale down our capacity whenever the volume goes down. Each component in Wizzer's architecture is designed to scale horizontally so that if we have a surge of orders or if we stream more ticks to front ends, clients, SDK strategies, or hundreds and thousands of users are using our system concurrently, our throughput and low latency performance remains rock solid. This foundation means no trade is too large and no market spike is too intense for us to handle. Hi, I'm Pawan, co-founder and CTO at Wizzer. Today, we are going to deep dive into how we have engineered Wizzer to scale to 10 million users, traders, strategies, and events. So, how we scaled Wizzer? To scale Wizzer, we got back to the simple and basic system design principles, and one of them is we design every component, every service, or any API to scale horizontally. Second principle is containerization and isolation by default. Why? Because every service, every app, even every strategy, if it is containerized, then it allows us to scale independently of every other platform or every other piece of code as on when the demand requires. One of the important principles of Wizzer system design philosophy is observability. Why? Because if you can't measure it, then you can't scale it. That's why every component, every strategy, or even every app that we have deployed is built in to expose the metrics in order for our system to measure in real time whether something is going to happen which is going to create a bottleneck in our system. And one of the important principles is separation of responsibility. We take separation of responsibility very seriously. Every time we are going to design a component, a service, or an app, we go back to the dashboard and define the service boundary. Having clear responsibility for a service or a component ensures that scaling them independently, extending them when new features arrive, or when something goes wrong, then clearly we are able to identify that where we are supposed to debug, what we are supposed to fix, which helps us to scale Wizzer efficiently. In quant trading, every millisecond matters. At Wizzer, we ingest a fire hose of market data which is then distributed to various client strategies and analytics dashboard without minimum delay. So how we have built this system? We have a combination of on-premise and cloud servers which are responsible for this entire system, which is scaling seamlessly. Why on-premise server? So that we can receive the raw ticks and the market data from various exchanges via lease line, and without processing them, they are streamed to quote aggregator service which is deployed on cloud via high throughput NATS system. This NATS system allows us to handle the back pressure gracefully so that our code servers don't get overwhelmed. These code servers, which are built in Golang for high concurrency, are already containerized. These code servers are designed in such a way that they load balance and they are connected to a centralized Redis brain. This centralized Redis brain stores which client is supposed to receive which instrument data, which strategy is supposed to receive which data, which analytics dashboard is supposed to receive what kind of candle or what kind of real-time indicator data, which is there on the roadmap. These code aggregators are responsible for then streaming the real-time market data to various places wherever it's required. So what happens when one of our code aggregator dies? As soon as one of the code aggregators shows a degraded performance or it goes conk off, our orchestration manager right now, which is a Docker Swarm layer, immediately will spin up another code aggregator, and this another code aggregator will take its place in all the subscriptions, and all the clients and strategies will again start receiving the real-time market data which they were subscribed to. And this entire process happens transparently and seamlessly without getting noticed. Our SDKs are built with retry logic and all the reconnection mechanism so that if such a case happens, then they handle the situations gracefully and without or minimum delays. Any client or any strategy or analytical dashboard will start receiving the real-time data without any disruption again. Every strategy in Wizzer is a Git repository. This Git repository is connected to a CI/CD pipelines so that every commit, whether it is via merge request or whether it's done by the developer, it gets picked up by the CI/CD pipelines and immediately packaged as a strategy container. These containers and the CI/CD pipeline is built on top of containerized GitLab runners. These GitLab runners, being containerized, can be registered and deregistered as and when the scale surges and as and when the scale goes down. This flexibility of scaling and spinning up as many GitLab runners when we need and scaling down as many GitLab runners when we need allows us to build and deploy hundreds, thousands, and millions of strategies concurrently and simultaneously without breaking the sweat. At the heart of Wizzer's trading system is our OMS, our order management system. This OMS is integrated with a broker router. Why these two things are separate? Because as I said that single responsibility is one of our system design principle. Separating OMS from broker router ensures that as and when needed, we can add more brokers or we can deprecate any broker, and if there is any change in the API of an existing broker, we can upgrade that broker adapter without even touching the OMS. This allows us to scale as and when needed. Wizzer's OMS is built on top of industry's best practice, that is ACID compliance. We follow the basic principle that all or nothing. Either something is executed successfully or it is discarded as quickly as possible to ensure that there are no stale states and the intent of the trader, whether it was the execution of the order or whether it was the cancellation and modification of order, is quickly available to the trader without any intermediate states. So why we need Redis when we have the database? Because let's take the example of our order which got filled. If the order got filled, then there are no more state transitions for that order, which means that whatever data for that order is required, it is already available to us. So our systems or components don't query the database again and again, and rather they query the Redis where the data is already cached. Now this Redis, which is dedicated for our OMS, is always updated whenever an backend event happens. This event could be a trade got filled, an order was cancelled, an order was modified, or a position was updated. All these events lead to updating the Redis cache so that any API, any component, or any user or dashboard which relies on this data remains always up to date. But how to deliver this data seamlessly to the users? We have scalable code service, we have scalable OMS, we have different broker routers, and there are hundreds and thousands of events fired instantly. But how do our users, clients, strategies receive these events? This entire thing is powered by the WebSocket technology, where we push all these events as soon as they happen to the relevant clients. This WebSocket server is built on top of socket cluster technology, which is built from ground up for horizontal scaling. Now you know that why we depend so much on horizontal scaling, because it is one of the basic principles of Wizzer's system design philosophy. Again, this entire WebSocket system is containerized and built in such a way that any broker or any node which is responsible for WebSocket streaming can be added and removed as and when scale requires. Now this entire WebSocket system is completely containerized, which is also one of our basic principles of system design philosophy at Wizzer. This containerization allows us to add as many nodes and as many brokers which are required by the socket cluster, so that Wizzer can scale not just to 100 and not just to 1000, but millions of users, strategies, and dashboard, where we can stream real-time events to them with minimum latency. At the heart of everything is data, and where the data is stored. It's stored in the database. What if one of the database, let's just say our MongoDB node or MongoDB cluster, goes down? That's the reason why Wizzer has been built from the ground up for resiliency. We run active database clusters on AWS cloud, where every cluster is made up of multiple nodes. So even if one of the node goes down, or even if the entire cluster goes down, All of your data is synced in real time between these nodes and clusters to ensure that there is no loss of the data and the heart of the Wizzer always remains resilient. In short, our data is not just stored, it's safeguarded, accelerated, and always available. Running a quant infrastructure like Wizzer is like tending a living organism, and Wizzer's infrastructure has a heartbeat of its own. At Wizzer, we monitor everything: latency, throughput, system health. We monitor everything down to each component so that as and when an anomaly happens, our system and our developers react to them instantly. All these anomalies and events detected by our system are immediately pushed to Slack in our ops channel. Meanwhile, our engineers are looking into this anomaly or the events. Our system orchestration layer, which is built on top of Docker Swarm, will try to self-heal the system. If any one of the component is misbehaving or abusing the system resources, then it is immediately replaced by another healthy container and that one is taken down in order to ensure that our systems are always reliable and running with full capacity. This proactive self-healing ecosystem ensures that Wizzer systems always remain stable and our clients always remain confident. At Wizzer, engineering isn't just about writing code. It's about envisioning the future of trading technology and bringing it to life. We are not simply trying to keep up with the traders. We are engineering a platform to ensure that they never feel the burden of complexity at all. That's what built for 10 million truly means. Wizzer stands ready, turning our vision into reality, trade by trade and byte by byte.